school. Smarter Balanced has defined 4 claims for mathematics. Claim 1 focuses on concepts and procedures. Claim 1 requires students to explain and apply mathematical concepts and interpret and carry out mathematical procedures with precision and fluency. The focus is on content knowledge learned at the high school level. A variety of item types are used to collect evidence for Claim 1, including selected response, constructed response, and technology-enhanced items and tasks that focus on a particular skill or concept. Content for this claim may be also evaluated at a deeper level with extended response items and performance tasks. Items and tasks have a direct connection to and emphasis on the conceptual categories defined in the Common Core State Standards for Mathematics. Let's look at the assessment targets associated with each conceptual category. 3 assessment targets have been defined for number and quantity. The first target builds on students' understanding of exponents and requires them to extend their properties to rational numbers by rewriting expressions using radicals and rational exponents. The second target requires students to use properties of rational and irrational numbers. For this target, students are expected to make generalizations about the sums and products of rational and irrational numbers and to provide examples that range from concrete to abstract generalizations. The third target focuses on the ability to reason quantitatively and to use units to solve problems. Tasks for this target require students to choose and interpret units in formulas and the scale in a graph. 7 assessment targets have been defined for algebra. The first target focuses on interpreting the structure of expressions and requires students to recognize equivalent forms of an expression as determined by the expression's structure. The second target focuses on writing expressions in equivalent forms to solve problems and requires students to choose or produce an equivalent form of an expression, including factoring a quadratic expression, completing the square, and using properties of exponents. The third target focuses on performing arithmetic operations on polynomials and requires students to add, subtract, and multiply polynomials. The fourth target focuses on creating equations that describe numbers or relationships and requires students to create equations and inequalities in one variable to solve problems, or to create and graph equations in 2 variables to represent relationships between quantities. The fifth target focuses on solving equations as a process of reasoning and explaining one's reasoning. This target requires students to solve radical and rational equations in one variable. The sixth target focuses on solving equations and inequalities in one variable and requires students to solve linear equations and inequalities as well as quadratic equations in one variable. The seventh and final target focuses on representing and solving equations and inequalities graphically. This target requires students to interpret a line or curve as a solution set of an equation in 2 variables. 4 assessment targets have been defined for functions. The first target focuses on understanding the concept of a function and the use of function notation. This target requires students to distinguish between relationships that represent functions and those that do not, including recognizing a sequence as a function. The second target focuses on interpreting functions that arise in applications in terms of a context and requires students to sketch graphs based on given key features and interpret key features of graphs with emphasis on interpreting the average rate of change over a specified interval. The third target focuses on analyzing functions using different representations. This target requires students to graph functions by hand or using technology and to compare properties of 2 functions represented in different ways. The fourth and final target focuses on building a function that models a relationship between 2 quantities and requires students to write a function to describe a relationship between 2 quantities. For geometry, 1 assessment target has been defined. This target focuses on proving geometric theorems and requires students to explain proofs or reasoning related to theorems about lines, triangles, circles, or parallelograms, including algebraic proofs or geometric theorems. For statistics and probability, 1 assessment target has been defined. This target focuses on summarizing, representing, and interpreting data on a single count or measurement variable. This target requires students to use appropriate statistics to explain differences in shape, center, and spread of two or more different data sets, including the effects of outliers. Claim 2 focuses on problem solving and requires students to solve a range of complex, well-posed problems in pure and applied mathematics, making productive use of knowledge and problem-solving strategies. Evidence for Claim 2 is elicited through selected response, constructed response, extended response, and technology-enhanced items and tasks that focus on problem solving. Claim 2 items and tasks should require students to construct their own pathway to the solution. Some relevant verbs that identify content clusters and/or standards for Claim 2 include understand, solve, apply, describe, illustrate, interpret, and analyze. Claim 3 focuses on communicating reasoning and requires students to clearly and precisely construct viable arguments to support their own reasoning and to critique the reasoning of others. Evidence for Claim 3 is elicited through constructed response, extended response, and technology-enhanced items and tasks that focus on mathematical reasoning. Relevant verbs that identify content clusters and/or standards for Claim 3 include understand, explain, justify, prove, derive, assess, illustrate, and analyze. Claim 4 focuses on modeling and data analysis and requires students to analyze complex real-world scenarios and construct and use mathematical models to interpret and solve problems. Evidence for Claim 4 is elicited through performance tasks and collections of extended response items that focus on modeling and data analysis. Claim 4 tasks are real-world problems that are complex and may contain insufficient or superfluous data. Tasks generating evidence for Claim 4 in a given grade will draw upon knowledge and skills articulated in the progression of standards up to that grade, with strong emphasis on the major work of the grade. Relevant verbs that identify content clusters and/or standards for Claim 4 include model, construct, compare, investigate, build, interpret, estimate, analyze, summarize, represent, solve, evaluate, extend, and apply. Claims 2, 3, and 4 are aligned to the mathematical practices from the Common Core State Standards for Mathematics and are identical across grade levels. For this reason, the assessment targets for Claims 2, 3, and 4 are not divided into a grade-by-grade description.